I always thought I had the perfect marriage until I found the photo that destroyed everything. There it was, tucked inside my husband's passport, a sunny beach snapshot of him, with his arm around a beautiful woman, a young boy grinning between them. The boy had Hayden's eyes. My hands trembled as I stared at their matching smiles, their easy familiarity. The date stamp showed it was taken just 3 months ago, when Hayden was supposedly at a marriage counseling conference in San Diego. My name is Sadie, and until that moment, I believed I was living the dream. Successful investigative journalist, married to Atlanta's most respected marriage counselor. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so devastating. "Honey, have you seen my passport?" Hayden called from downstairs. "I need to check something for next month's conference." I quickly slipped the photo back where I found it. "Still looking?" I managed to keep my voice steady despite the acid churning in my stomach. When I brought the passport down, Hayden was in his home office, typing away at his laptop. His designer glasses caught the afternoon light as he looked up with that disarming smile that had made me fall for him 7 years ago. "Thanks, babe." He reached for the passport. "You're the best." "Actually, can we talk?" I perched on the edge of his desk. "I was thinking maybe I could come with you to the conference next month. I have some vacation days saved up." His smile flickered for just a second. "Oh, you wouldn't enjoy it. Just boring seminars and networking. Besides, you hate California." "I've never been to California." Right. He waved dismissively. "I must be thinking of someone else." Someone else? The words hung in the air between us. That night, I lay awake beside him, listening to his steady breathing. My journalist instincts were screaming that something was very wrong. When his phone buzzed at 2 a.m., I watched him grab it and slip out to the hallway. The next morning, I did what I do best. I started investigating. While Hayden was at his office, I combed through his credit card statements. Multiple hotel charges in cities where he claimed to never visit. Restaurant bills for 2 in Atlanta on nights he told me he was working late. And then I found it. A second phone bill, registered to a P.O. box. "Sarah?" My editor picked up on the first ring. "I need a favor. Can you run a background check on someone?" 2 hours later, my world imploded again. The woman from the photo was named Allison, and she lived in a gorgeous house in Buckhead, paid for by my husband. According to property records, they'd bought it together 4 years ago. While I was planning our wedding, I drove past the house that afternoon, gripping my steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. A boy, the one from the photo, was shooting hoops in the driveway. He had Hayden's curly hair, his athletic build. My heart shattered all over again. That evening, Hayden came home with takeout from my favorite Thai place. "Thought you could use a treat," he said, kissing my cheek. "You seemed stressed this morning." I forced myself to smile. "You're so thoughtful." "That's what makes us work," he winked. "I always know what you need." As we ate, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Are you Hayden Nichols's wife? We need to talk. There's more you should know." I excused myself to the bathroom, hands shaking as I typed back, "Who is this?" The response came immediately. "My name is Kylie." And like you, I thought I was Hayden's only wife. I stared at myself in the bathroom mirror, my face pale under the harsh fluorescent lights. In that moment, I made a decision. The perfect, understanding wife would confront him immediately, dissolve into tears, beg for explanations. But I'm not just a wife. I'm an investigative journalist, and I was going to uncover every single lie before I burned Hayden's carefully constructed world to the ground. "Everything okay in there?" Hayden called through the door. "Just fine," I replied, my voice honey-sweet. "Be right out." I deleted the text exchange and returned to dinner, watching my husband of 7 years chat about his day, recommend books to his therapy clients about maintaining honest relationships, and lie straight to my face. All while, I imagined the satisfaction of exposing every single secret he thought he'd buried. "You're quiet tonight," he observed, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. I squeezed back, thinking of the photo, of Allison, of Kylie's text burning a hole in my phone. Just thinking about how lucky I am to have such an honest, devoted husband. His smile was radiant. I'm the lucky one. I smiled back, already plotting his downfall. We'll see about that. I met Kylie at a quiet coffee shop across town, far from anywhere Hayden might show up. She was younger than me, pretty in a soft way, with worried eyes that darted around the cafe. A little girl about 9 years old sat beside her, colouring intently in a notebook. "This is Adeline," Kylie said quietly, "Hayden's daughter." My coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. "How long?" "6 years of marriage." Kylie's voice cracked. "He travels a lot for work, so I never questioned why he was gone so much. She wiped her eyes. "I thought I was special." "Mommy, look." Adeline held up her drawing, a family portrait with a tall man holding her hand. "I drew Daddy." I excused myself to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face. When I returned, Kylie had sent Adeline to get a cookie from the counter. "How did you find out about me?" I asked. "I saw his photo in Atlanta magazine last month. Top marriage counselor celebrates 7 years of wedded bliss." I nearly threw up. She pulled out her phone. "But that's not all. Look at this." She showed me a social media post from someone named Allison, the woman from the beach photo. It showed my husband at what looked like a school science fair, his arm around the boy I'd seen shooting hoops. "Proud of our little scientist, wash our family first," read the caption. "Have you confronted him?" I asked. Kylie shook her head. "I was going to, but then I found something worse." She lowered her voice. "There's another one, a third wife." The room spun. "How?" "Her name is Kira. She lives in Savannah with their 5-year-old daughter." Kylie's hands trembled. "I hired a private investigator last month. He found property records, marriage certificates, everything." Just then, my phone buzzed. Hayden's face lit up my screen. "Hey, babe," I answered, keeping my voice light. "What's up?" "Just checking if you'll be home for dinner. Thought we could try that new Italian place." I watched Adeline return to our table, happily munching her cookie. "Sorry, late meeting with my editor. Don't wait up." After I hung up, Kylie studied me. "You're handling this differently than I expected. I'm an investigative journalist," I said, "and right now, I'm working on the biggest story of my career." I pulled out my notebook. "Tell me everything you know." For the next hour, Kylie laid out Hayden's elaborate deception. He maintained separate lives in 3 cities, using his frequent work travel as cover. Each wife thought the others were just clients he counseled. He kept burner phones, separate credit cards, even different email addresses. "The worst part," Kylie said, "he uses his reputation as a marriage counselor to gaslight us if we ever get suspicious. Says we're projecting our insecurities, that trust is the foundation of marriage." "Classic manipulation," I muttered, scribbling notes. "What about his parents? Do they know?" "They only know about you. He tells us they're dead." My pen snapped in my hand. "His parents' 50th wedding anniversary is next month. Big celebration at their lake house." Kylie's eyes widened. "He told me he'd be at a conference that weekend." "Of course he did." I looked at Adeline, still absorbed in her colouring. "Does she ever ask why her dad is gone so much?" "He FaceTimes her every night he's away, sends presents, takes her to daddy-daughter dances." Kylie's voice hardened. "He's actually a great father, which makes it worse somehow." My phone buzzed again, a text from my editor about a deadline. But below it was an older message I hadn't noticed before, from an unknown number. "Is this Hayden's wife? We need to talk. Kira." I showed Kylie the text. "Looks like wife number 3 wants to join the conversation." "What are you planning?" Kylie asked. I thought about Hayden's parents' anniversary party, about all the important people who would be there, his colleagues, his clients, the local media covering Atlanta's perfect power couple. "I'm planning to give him exactly what he deserves," I said, "but I need your help, both of you." I glanced at Adeline. "All of you." Kylie hesitated. "I don't want to hurt him. despite everything. This isn't about hurting him, I interrupted. It's about truth, justice, protecting other women from his lies. I leaned forward. Are you in? Before she could answer, my phone buzzed one more time. A text from Hayden. Missing you already. Counting the minutes until dinner tomorrow. You're my everything. I showed Kylie the message. Her face hardened. I'm in, she said. Let's take him down. As we left the cafe, Adeline skipping ahead of us, Kylie grabbed my arm. Just promise me one thing. Whatever we do, we protect the kids. They're innocent in all this. I watched Adeline, thinking of her half-siblings in Buckhead and Savannah. The kids come first, I agreed. But Hayden, he's going to wish he never met any of us. Meeting Allison was like looking in a mirror. If that mirror showed me 5 years ago, still starry-eyed and believing in Hayden's lies. She invited me to her Buckhead home while her son Emiliano was at soccer practice. I can't believe you're actually here, she said, hands wrapped around a mug of tea. In my kitchen, the real wife. We're all real wives, I corrected her. That's the problem. How did you find out about us? Her voice was barely a whisper. I pulled out the beach photo. This fell out of his passport. Allison's face crumpled. Our trip to San Diego. He said it was safe to post photos because none of his Atlanta clients vacation there. She laughed bitterly. I guess he was right. I wasn't worried about clients finding them. The front door slammed. Mom, did you see my goal today? Emiliano bounded into the kitchen, still in his soccer uniform. He stopped short when he saw me. Hi, he said cautiously. Are you one of Dad's patients? My heart squeezed. He had Hayden's exact smile. Something like that. I'm Sadie. Cool. Mom, can I have a snack? After Allison sent him upstairs with a granola bar, she turned to me. He adores Hayden. They go camping, build models together. She wiped her eyes. How do I tell him? We don't, I said firmly. Not yet. First, we need to talk to Kira. I spoke with her yesterday, Allison said. She's driving up from Savannah tomorrow. Her daughter Evangeline is with her mother. Perfect. I've booked a conference room at the library. Neutral ground. Allison nodded, then hesitated. There's something else you should know, about Hayden's practice. She led me to her home office and pulled out a thick folder. I'm an accountant. Numbers are what I do. So when things felt off, I started digging. Inside were bank statements, property records, and transaction histories. He's been embezzling from his practice, she explained, taking cash payments from clients, running them through shell companies. That's how he affords all this. She gestured around her expensive home. Does he know you know? No, but last week he asked me to help him reorganize his business accounts. I think he's getting nervous. I took photos of everything with my phone. This is good, really good. What exactly are you planning? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Hayden. Hey, handsome, I answered, winking at Allison. Missing me? Always. Listen, my parents' anniversary party? Mum wants to know if you'll help with the slideshow. Pictures from their marriage, family moments, that kind of thing. I caught Allison's eye. A slideshow? I'd love to help. After I hung up, Allison was staring at me. His parents' anniversary. He told me they died in a car crash 3 years ago. Next Saturday, big party at their lake house. All of Atlanta's finest will be there. Understanding dawned on her face. You want to expose him, publicly. Can you think of a better venue? All his colleagues, his clients, the local media. He'll lose everything. He should have thought of that before he built his life on lies. I softened my voice. Allison, he's not just hurting us. He's stealing from vulnerable people who trust him to help fix their marriages. She was quiet for a long moment. Upstairs, we could hear Emiliano playing video games, calling out to his friends through his headset. You know what he told me when we met, she finally said. That his wife died of cancer, that he never thought he'd love again until he met me. She met my eyes. I spent 2 years feeling grateful to a dead woman for giving me my perfect husband. And I bet he told Kira something similar. When do we meet her? Tomorrow at 10. You'll come? Allison squared her shoulders. I'll be there. But Sadie, she touched my arm. Whatever we do, we have to be smart. Hayden always has a backup plan. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Kylie. Emergency. Hayden just showed up at Adeline's school. Says he's taking her to dinner. Speaking of backup plans, I showed Allison the text. We need to move fast. I'll get my keys. As we rushed to her car, another text came through from an unknown number. This is Kira. Just arrived in Atlanta early. Hayden doesn't know. We need to meet tonight. It's urgent. I looked at Allison. Change of plans. Can you pick up Kylie and Adeline? I'll handle Kira. Be careful, she warned. We still don't know everything he's capable of. I thought of the elaborate web of lies Hayden had woven, the lives he'd manipulated, the money he'd stolen. That's exactly why we need to stop him, before he hurts anyone else. As Allison drove away, I texted Kira back. Send me your location. It's time we all knew the truth. Kira was waiting in her hotel room, pacing nervously when I arrived. She was younger than the rest of us, barely in her 30s, with a determined set to her jaw that reminded me of myself. Thank God you're here, she said, pulling me inside. Look at this. She thrust her phone at me. On the screen was an email from Hayden's practice administrator. Dr. Nichols has been using client session recordings for unauthorized purposes. Multiple ethical violations. Need to meet ASAP. When did you get this? An hour ago. The administrator sent it to all the practice partners. Kira ran her hands through her hair. I work in medical compliance. When Hayden and I met, he said that's why we connected, because I understood healthcare privacy laws. My journalist instincts kicked in. Did you ever have access to his files? He asked me to review his documentation procedures last month. Said he wanted to make sure everything was up to code. She pulled out her laptop. I found this. The screen showed a folder labeled Special Cases. Inside were hundreds of video files, therapy sessions with his clients. He's been recording everything without consent, Kira explained. And not just keeping them, he's been using personal details from sessions to manipulate clients into private consulting arrangements, charging thousands for specialized marriage counseling. My phone buzzed, a text from Allison. Got Kylie and Adeline. They're safe at my house. Hayden's looking for them. We need to move fast, I told Kira. Can you download those files? Already did. She held up a flash drive. But Sadie, there's more. I think he's planning something big. Look at these bank transfers. She showed me recent transactions. Large sums moving between accounts, properties being liquidated. He's preparing to run, I realized. The practice administrator must have spooked him. What do we do? My phone buzzed again. Hayden's face lit up the screen. Put it on speaker, Kira whispered. Hey, babe, I answered, trying to sound normal. Everything okay? Just checking on you. Working late again? You know me, always chasing a story. That's my girl. His voice was smooth as honey. Listen, I was thinking about taking a trip next week. Just us. Maybe the Caribbean. We could use some alone time. Kira's eyes widened. I kept my voice steady. What about your parents' anniversary? We could skip it. Mum would understand. Hayden Nichols, skipping a chance to be the center of attention. Now I know something's wrong. He laughed, but it sounded forced. Can't I just want to spoil my beautiful wife? Of course you can. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. After I hung up, Kira was already typing furiously on her laptop. He booked flights to the Cayman Islands, first class next Tuesday. Only one ticket? No, 3. She looked up grimly. And he's been moving money into offshore accounts. My mind raced. He's not just running, he's trying to take the kids. Evangeline, Kira's face went pale. Call your mother, now. While Kira frantically dialed, I texted Allison and Kylie. Keep the kids close. Don't let them out of your sight. Kira's relief was audible when her mother answered. She's fine. They're baking cookies. We need to move up our timeline, I said. The anniversary party's too far away. He'll be gone by then. What's the plan? I thought about the practice administrator's email, the illegal recordings, the financial fraud. We go nuclear, tonight. How? I pulled out my phone and dialed my editor. Sarah, remember that favor you owe me? I need you to run a story, front page, and I need it to hit tomorrow morning. Must be big if you're calling this late. Biggest story of the year. Prominent marriage counselor secretly recording clients, running fraud schemes, and I caught Kira's eye. Maintaining multiple families across 3 cities. Silence on the line. Then, holy shit, Sadie. This is about Hayden, isn't it? I'm sending you everything now. Bank records, emails, photos. All verified. What about your marriage? This will destroy him. That's the point. After I hung up, Kira was staring at me. Once this hits the news, he'll try to run immediately, I finished, which is exactly what we want, because this time we'll be ready. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Hayden. Changed my mind about dinner. Coming home now. Miss you too much. I showed Kira the message. Time to go. Get somewhere safe with the others. And Kira, I squeezed her hand. Tomorrow everything changes. As I drove home, I rehearsed my performance one last time. The loving wife, blissfully unaware, ready to comfort her husband when his world implodes. Hayden's car was already in the driveway when I pulled up. Through the window, I could see him in the kitchen, opening a bottle of wine. Game on. I walked into our kitchen to find Hayden in full charm mode. Expensive wine breathing on the counter, soft jazz playing, takeout from my favorite Italian place. There's my beautiful wife, he smiled, pulling me into a kiss. I got your favorite, truffle risotto. You're spoiling me. I forced myself to kiss him back, thinking of the story that would hit the news in hours. Actually, he poured the wine, I wanted to talk to you about something. Oh, I've been thinking about making some changes. Maybe selling the practice, starting fresh somewhere else. He handed me a glass. What would you say to moving to Europe? I nearly choked on my wine. Europe? What about your clients? Your parents? Sometimes you have to shake things up, right? His eyes searched my face. We could leave next week, start an adventure together. My phone buzzed. A text from Kylie. Allison found more financial records. It's worse than we thought. Everything okay? Hayden asked. Just work. I smiled. Tell me more about Europe. He launched into an elaborate plan about consulting opportunities in Switzerland, but I was only half listening. My phone kept lighting up with messages from the other wives. Allison. He's been stealing client information for blackmail. Kira. Found evidence of more families in other cities. Kylie. The practice administrator wants to meet, says it's urgent. Sadie. Hayden touched my hand. You seem distracted. Sorry, big story breaking tomorrow. I wasn't even lying. Actually, I should probably check in with my editor. Can't it wait? I thought we could have a romantic evening. The way he was watching me, too intently, too carefully, sent chills down my spine. Did he suspect? My phone rang. Sarah, my editor. Sorry, I have to take this. I stepped into the hallway. Hey, what's up? Story's ready to run, but Sadie, someone just sent us anonymous evidence about 3 more wives in different states, plus documentation of blackmail schemes going back 10 years. My knees went weak. What? This is bigger than we thought. Police are already involved. Are you somewhere safe? I glanced back at the kitchen where Hayden was refilling wine glasses. I will be. Get out of there, now. I walked back to find Hayden holding my laptop. My blood ran cold. Funny thing, he said casually. I was going to use this to check flight prices, but it seems you've been doing some interesting research. He turned the screen toward me, showing all my recent searches about his other families. Hayden, how long have you known? His voice was deadly quiet. Long enough. He nodded slowly, then threw the laptop against the wall. I jumped as it shattered. You have no idea what you're dealing with, he snarled, advancing toward me. Do you think you're the first wife who's tried to expose me? I backed away, fumbling for my phone. There are others. There were. His smile was terrifying, but they all decided it was better to disappear, with a generous settlement, of course. The police are already involved. You're bluffing. I pulled up the draft article on my phone and held it up. His face went white as he read the headline. Prominent Atlanta therapists' web of deception, multiple families, fraud, and blackmail exposed. You couldn't just take the trip to Europe, he said softly. We could have been happy. Like your other wives, the ones who disappeared. He lunged for my phone, but I was faster. I ran for the door, but he caught my arm. Let go of me. You're not going anywhere until we... The front door burst open. Allison, Kylie, and Kira stood there with 2 police officers. Hayden Nichols. One officer stepped forward. We need you to come with us. Hayden's grip on my arm tightened. This is a misunderstanding. I'm a respected therapist. Who's been stealing from clients and blackmailing them, Kira interrupted. We have proof. And running illegal businesses, Allison added. And maintaining multiple families through fraud, Kylie finished. Hayden looked between us, realization dawning. You're all working together. Calm as a bitch, I said, yanking my arm free. And so are we. The officers moved to handcuff him. As they led him out, he turned to me one last time. I really did love you, Sadie. More than the others. Save it for your therapy sessions, I replied. I hear prison counselors are excellent. After he was gone, the 4 of us stood in my kitchen, surrounded by broken laptop pieces and spilled wine. It's really over, Kylie whispered. Not quite, I said, picking up my phone. The story hits in 6 hours, and then everyone knows, Allison finished. Are we ready for that? Kira asked. I looked at these women, my unlikely allies, my sister wives, my friends. Together, we're ready for anything. We raised our wine glasses in a toast, 4 women united by betrayal, but strengthened by revenge. To karma, I said. To karma, they echoed, and somewhere in the distance, police sirens wailed. The morning after Hayden's arrest, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Local news stations, national magazines, talk shows. Everyone wanted the story of the marriage counselor with multiple families. Good morning, Atlanta. Breaking news today. The TV anchor's voice filled Allison's living room, where we had all gathered. Prominent therapist Hayden Nichols has been arrested on charges of fraud, embezzlement, and criminal conspiracy. Turn it off, Kylie said, covering Adeline's ears. The kids were playing in the next room, still unaware of why their worlds had suddenly collided. We need to tell them something, Kira said, watching Evangeline share her dolls with Adeline, while Emiliano taught them card tricks. My phone buzzed. Hayden's mother. I put it on speaker. Sadie, please tell me this is some horrible mistake. Lana's voice cracked. The things they're saying about my son. It's all true, Lana. I'm so sorry. But the anniversary party, all our friends. That's the least of our concerns right now, I said firmly. You should know, you have 3 grandchildren you've never met. Silence. Then, bring them to me. Please, Milton and I, we need to meet them. After I hung up, Allison wiped her eyes. My son deserves to know his grandparents. First, we need to handle the press, I said. They're camping outside all our houses. My brother's here, Kylie called from the window, with coffee and reinforcements. Cesar, Kylie's brother, came in carrying trays of coffee and a determined expression. Behind him was Marcus, my editor's best defense attorney. Ladies, Marcus set his briefcase down. We need to talk strategy. The DA wants statements from all of you. What about the kids? Kira asked. That's why I'm here, Cesar said. My cabin in the mountains. No press, no cell service. I'll take them there until this dies down. I'll go too, Kylie offered. They'll need a familiar face. While they packed bags for the kids, Marcus laid out documents on the coffee table. Hayden's being held without bail. The fraud charges alone could put him away for 20 years. He looked at me. But there's something else. The police found evidence about other families. We know, I said. He practically confessed last night. No, you don't understand. They found remains in properties he owns across the country. The room went silent. Alison grabbed my hand. What kind of remains? She whispered. They're still investigating, but it seems some of his previous wives didn't exactly disappear voluntarily. My coffee cup slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor. In the next room, I could hear the kids laughing. He was going to take us to Europe, I said numbly. If we hadn't stopped him. Don't, Kira cut me off. We did stop him, that's what matters. My phone buzzed again. A text from Sarah, my editor. Stories going national. Every major network wants interviews. What do you want to do? I looked at these women who had become my unlikely family. It's your call. We do this together or not at all. I say we do it, Alison straightened her shoulders. Other women need to know. There might be more families out there. But the kids, Kylie gestured to the other room. Will eventually learn the truth anyway, Kira finished. Better they hear it from us. Marcus nodded approvingly. I can set up a single interview. 1 hour, all of you together. No individual press. Good Morning America wants it, I said, checking my messages. Live tomorrow. Perfect. Marcus started gathering his papers. I'll have contracts drawn up within the hour. Full control over the narrative. No questions about the kids. Caesar appeared in the doorway. Cars are packed. Kids are ready. We all moved to say goodbye. Emiliano hugged his mother tight, while Adeline and Evangeline chatted excitedly about their surprise vacation. We'll explain everything soon, Kylie promised them. Right now, just have fun with Uncle Caesar. After they left, the house felt eerily quiet. My phone buzzed one final time, a collect call from the county jail. Should I accept? I asked the room. Put it on speaker, Alison said. Let's hear what he has to say. I pressed accept. Hayden's voice filled the room. Sadie, baby, please, we can fix this. I'll tell you everything. We already know everything, I interrupted. About the other wives, the missing women, all of it. You don't understand. I did it for us, for our families. No, Kira stepped forward. You did it for yourself. Tomorrow morning, I said calmly, we're going on national television to tell the world exactly who you are. Goodbye, Hayden. I hung up before he could respond. The four of us stood in silence, processing the weight of what was coming. Well, Alison finally said, I guess we should decide what to wear on TV. We laughed, a slightly hysterical, relieved sound, because somehow, in the midst of this nightmare, we'd found each other. And together, we were stronger than any lie Hayden had ever told. 3 minutes to air, the producer called as makeup artists made final touches. The four of us sat in a row on the Good Morning America set, hands clasped together. Remember, Marcus whispered from offstage, you don't have to answer anything about the ongoing investigation. The host, Rebecca, settled into her chair across from us. Ladies, are you ready? We nodded. The red light blinked on. Good morning, America. Today we have an extraordinary story of deception, survival, and the unbreakable bonds formed in the face of betrayal. Rebecca turned to us. Sadie, let's start with you. How did you discover your husband's double life? I took a deep breath. It started with a photo that fell from his passport. A happy family snapshot, just not with his real family. Or should I say, not with his only family. Alison, Rebecca addressed the woman beside me. You were in that photo. What did Hayden tell you about his life? He said he was a widower. Alison's voice shook slightly. That his wife had died of cancer. He even took me to a grave. I later learned it belonged to a complete stranger. Kylie, you were the one who first reached out to Sadie. Why? I saw their wedding anniversary announcement in a magazine. There was Hayden, talking about the sanctity of marriage, while I sat at home with our daughter, believing I was his only wife. And Kira, Rebecca leaned forward, you discovered something even more disturbing about Hayden's practice. He was recording therapy sessions without consent, Kira explained, using clients' personal information for blackmail. As someone who works in medical compliance, I knew immediately how serious this was. But there's more, Rebecca said gravely. Yesterday, police announced the discovery of human remains on properties owned by Hayden. Can you speak to that? I squeezed Allison's hand. We've been asked not to comment on the ongoing investigation. What I can say is that Hayden told me there were others before us, women who disappeared after threatening to expose him. How did the four of you find the strength to come forward? Together, Kylie said simply. We could have turned on each other. Instead, we became a family. Speaking of family, Rebecca softened her voice. There are children involved. How are they coping? They're safe, I assured her, protected, and they'll know the truth when they're ready. One last question, Rebecca said. What would you say to other women who might be in similar situations? Trust your instincts, Allison spoke up. If something feels wrong, investigate. Don't be ashamed to ask for help, Kylie added. Document everything, Kira advised. And remember, I finished, you're stronger than you think, especially when you stand together. After the interview, we retreated to the green room. My phone immediately lit up with messages, including one from Hayden's mother. The kids are asking about their father, Lana's text read. Please let us see them. We're their grandparents. Before I could respond, a producer burst in. Ladies, you need to see this. She turned on the TV. Breaking news banner. Marriage counselor Hayden Nichols attempts suicide in jail. Oh God, Kylie collapsed into a chair. He's alive, the producer assured us. But he left a note. It's complicated. My phone rang. Marcus. They found journals in his office, detailed accounts of everything, including the missing women. How many? I whispered. 5, over the past 15 years, all wives who threatened to expose him. Allison grabbed the trash can and threw up. There's more, Marcus continued. He had plans, for all of you. The Europe trip wasn't just an escape, it was going to be his endgame. I thought about the casual way he'd suggested the trip, how desperate he'd been to get me to agree. The police want to interview you again, Marcus said. All of you. They think there might be more victims. After I hung up, we sat in stunned silence. He really would have killed us, Kira whispered. But he didn't, I said firmly. We're here, we're alive, and we're going to make sure he never hurts anyone else. My phone buzzed again, Caesar sending a video of the kids playing at the cabin, blissfully unaware of the chaos unfolding. We should go to them, Kylie said. They need us now more than ever. First, I pulled out my notebook. We need to make sure every single victim's story is told. Every woman he hurt deserves justice. What about his parents? Allison asked. The kids deserve to know their grandparents. One step at a time, I said. Right now, let's focus on the truth, all of it. We gathered our things, ready to face whatever came next. As we left the studio, reporters shouted questions. Did you know about the other victims? What about the suicide attempt? Will you testify against him? But we walked past them, heads held high, hands linked together, because we weren't just survivors of Hayden's deception anymore. We were warriors, and our battle for justice was just beginning. The courthouse buzzed with tension as the jury foreman stood. I gripped Allison's hand on my left, Kylie's on my right. Kira leaned forward in the row behind us, her breath catching. In the matter of multiple counts of fraud, embezzlement, and criminal conspiracy, we find the defendant guilty. My shoulders relaxed slightly, but we weren't done. In the matter of 5 counts of first-degree murder, the foreman paused, glancing at Hayden. We find the defendant guilty. The room erupted. I turned to see Lana and Milton sobbing in the back row, their perfect family façade finally shattered. Through the chaos, Hayden's eyes found mine. He mouthed something that looked like, "I'm sorry, but I turned away." Outside, reporters swarmed us. How does it feel knowing he'll never hurt anyone else? Ask them, I pointed to the families of the murdered women sitting on the courthouse steps. They're the ones who truly deserve justice today. Back at Allison's house, the kids were waiting with Cesar. They knew most of the truth now, a carefully edited version, appropriate for their ages. Emiliano ran to his mother first, then surprised everyone by hugging each of us. "Does this mean we're all really family now?" he asked. "We always were," Kylie smiled, watching Adeline and Evangeline playing together. "Just not the way we thought." My phone buzzed, a text from Sarah. "Story's ready. Sure you want to run it?" I showed the others. The article would reveal everything, the full scope of Hayden's crimes, the system failures that allowed them, and most importantly, the stories of the women who didn't survive. "Do it," Kira said firmly. "For them." I texted back, "Run it." "Mom," Emiliano tugged Allison's sleeve. "Can we still see Grandma and Grandpa?" We all exchanged looks. Despite everything, Milton and Lana had been victims too, and they'd lost not just their son, but their entire understanding of who he was. "Actually," I said, "they invited us all to dinner tonight. If everyone's ready." "Really?" Adeline bounced excitedly. "All of us?" "All of us," Kylie confirmed, "because that's what families do. They stick together even when it's hard." At the Nichols house, Lana had prepared a feast. The kids immediately gravitated to Milton, who produced magic tricks from his pockets. It was awkward at first, but somehow right. "I keep thinking I failed him," Lana confided as we helped with dishes. "That I missed some sign." "He fooled everyone," I said gently, "even those closest to him. But you four," she gestured to where Allison, Kylie, and Kira sat laughing with the kids. "You turned something horrible into something beautiful." My phone buzzed one last time. The article had gone live. Within minutes, messages poured in from women across the country sharing similar stories. "Look at this," I showed the others. "We're not alone. There are support groups forming, advocacy programs starting." "Maybe some good can come from all this," Kira mused. "It already has," Allison said, watching Emiliano teach his newfound cousins a card game. "Look at them. They'll grow up knowing the truth about love and family, that it's not about secrets or control." "It's about choice," Kylie finished. "Choosing to stand together, choosing to fight back. Choosing to heal," I added. Later that night, as we gathered for a photo, all of us, including Milton and Lana, I thought about that first beach snapshot that had started everything. How one family photo had led to another kind of family altogether. "Everyone say cheese," Milton called, setting the timer. But before the flash went off, Evangeline piped up, "Can we say family instead?" We laughed, a real, healing sound, and did just that. The photo captured everything: the kids' bright smiles, Lana and Milton's tentative joy, and the four of us women in the center, arms linked, faces forward. Not victims anymore, but survivors. Not broken, but rebuilt. Not alone, but together. My phone lit up with another message, the detective handling the cold cases. "2 more families found," she wrote. "They're alive, and they want to meet you." I showed the others. "Ready for another chapter?" "Together?" Allison asked. "Always," Kylie and Kira said in unison. Outside, the sun was setting on Atlanta, casting long shadows across the yard where our children played. Somewhere in the city, Hayden sat in a cell, his web of lies finally untangled. But here, in this moment, something new was being woven, stronger than deception, more powerful than fear. The truth had set us free, and we would make sure it did the same for others. "Family photo," Adeline called again, this time with funny faces. As we gathered once more, I realized some endings aren't really endings at all. They're beginnings in disguise. And this beginning, it was better than any ending Hayden could have written. Because it was real. Because it was ours. Because we chose it. Together.